You know, one of the greatest mentors that I think has ever walked the earth, and clearly and almost undisputably this nation's authority on leadership, is Mr. John Maxwell. And Mr. John Maxwell is fond of saying that everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So if that's the truth, then let's look at a few examples. Look at Apple, right? Some folks go, leadership, that touchy-feely stuff. But look at Apple, guys. Apple was going in the toilet back in the 80s. And they brought Steve Jobs, one of the founders of Apple, back. He had left the company. They actually ran him out. They invited him back to be the CEO of the company, and he turned Apple into probably the most valuable company in the world. He's recently passed away, if you don't know, about a year ago or so. And since then, in just that short amount of time, arguably, you could say that the quality of Apple's products and software has declined. One guy. This is a multi-billion-dollar company that operates all over the world. There's got thousands and thousands of employees and designers and programmers and quality checkers and salespeople and managers and boards of trustees and all the rest of it. But one guy had the impact to completely build that company to something so magnificent, and then his passing away in just the very short amount of time since he's been passed away, some would argue that the quality has already begun to decline. And that's pretty amazing. But it's an illustration of how everything rises and falls in leadership. So you and I, we've got to have some leadership skills. And one of the skills we need to have as leaders is vision. The ability to see through the little things. 60% of the population just sway like the wind, man. Whatever room they're in, whatever the majority opinion is, that's the way they lean, man. If they're in a room full of people who love country music, they love country music too. If they're in a room full of people who hate country music, man, they hate country music too. They can be all excited about a business one day, and then their broke buddy tells them that it's no good, and the next day they're all down on it in front of everybody else. Guys, listen, here's what you need to know. 60% of the population cannot make up their mind. They cannot be solid in their own beliefs. And so as a result, they tend to waffle and wane and sway with public opinion or with majority opinion. But here, guys, look, you need to know something. The majority is broke. The majority is divorced. The majority is unhappy. The majority is barely getting by. The majority is stressed out. The majority dies early. I don't know about you, but whatever it is the majority's doing, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something different because I don't want what the majority's got. Does this make sense? And one of the key hallmarks of leadership is that leaders know what they believe, they stand behind what they believe, and they don't sway and wax and wane with the opinions of others. Now, it doesn't mean they never change their minds with empirical evidence and plenty of research and plenty, then they may change their minds over time, but it's been said, and I don't remember who said it, that successful people make up their minds quickly and they change their minds very, very slowly. Unsuccessful people tend to take forever to make a decision, and then once they make it, they change their mind like that. And it lends to the idea of what I'm sharing with you is that unsuccessful people tend to shift their opinions based on who they're around and what the majority opinion around them is. Here's what I want you to know. If you want to be a leader of people, and remember that everything rises and falls on leadership. If you want to be a leader of people, you've got to have standards. You've got to have morals and beliefs and ethics that you hold true and that you do not waver or compromise on. And if you're the only person in a room with an opinion, but it truly is yours, you've got to stand behind it. Sometimes the most unpopular opinions create some of the greatest unbelievable results long term, but those opinions would have never been carried out and turned into a reality if the person holding that opinion had been so easily swayed by everyone else. Steve Jobs is a fantastic example of that. Going back to the Steve Jobs example, when he took over Apple, they had 80-something products. And Steve said, no. We're going to pare that down, and we're going to do 1 or 2 or 3 things really, really well. And we're not going to do anything else. And Steve Jobs was quoted as saying that what has made him so successful is not what he said yes to. It's the things he said no to. And with so many people around him telling him, oh, we need to compete in this area, we need to compete in that area, we need to do this, and we need more colors, and it needs to be more flashy. Steve said, no, no, no. We're going to do these 3 or 4 things better than anybody else on the planet. And that's all we're going to do. And that was a very, very unpopular opinion with Apple, but it created the most valuable company in the world. For a period of time there, Apple Computers was the most valuable company in the world. But because Steve Jobs had the vision and the belief level and the integrity of his own conviction to stand behind what he believed in the face of mounting opposition, in the face of majority opinion, he created something so magical with Apple. And that is true leadership. So get solid about what you believe. And don't sway like the wind and bend like a reed. When you know what you know and people know that you know what you know, they will be anxious to follow you because they'll always know what to expect. And that's the dose. So go make it a great day.